This man truly had no sense of danger. Just as the woman pulled him up, he suddenly hugged her and burst into tears. The whole situation was intense and exciting. After their first encounter, things became even more passionate. A wealthy heir left with nothing but money, he was demoted and began working as a server to gain experience. While pushing a dessert cart, he accidentally collided with someone, a woman whose powerful mother had just remarried, leaving her lost and aimless. By coincidence, these two troubled souls met on a beach. They drank from day to night, healing each other emotionally. Suddenly, a stumble brought them closer, and in a flash, he caught her in his arms. The unexpected physical contact left them flustered. Looking at the adorable young woman before him, the man, fueled by alcohol, couldn't help but lean in. Although she initially pushed him away, he quickly pulled her back and kissed her. Usually reserved and clueless about love, he became boldly passionate under the influence. Their desires surged like waves crashing against rocks. She responded to his gaze, and as the curtain closed on the camper van, they shared a sweet and romantic night. The next morning, sunlight filtered in as she woke first. Realizing how wild the night had been, she panicked when she saw a tour bus approaching. Embarrassed and startled, she grabbed her clothes and fled. A group of elderly women soon gathered, startling the man. They chatted meaningfully, trying to piece together what happened. Humiliated, he yelled out in frustration. But from that point on, he was driven to succeed. In just 3 years, the once disgraced heir had become a department head. The woman, too, had achieved her dream of becoming a nutritionist. By a twist of fate, she was assigned to work at his company. When they ran into each other in the elevator, he initially didn't recognize her. One day during a meeting, due to stress and poor eating habits, he fainted. His assistant arranged for her to become his personal nutritionist. She thought the job would be simple, but her first meal plan was rejected outright. He took one look and declared that her nutritional approach needed a complete overhaul. She tried again with grilled meat over rice, but he didn't even glance at it. Instead, he ordered it thrown out, which she happened to witness. Seeing her hard work so casually dismissed, she angrily decided to confront him. Just as he left a meeting, she showed up at his office. Startled, he hid and observed her. That's when he realized, this woman was the one from 3 years ago. Determined to make her pay, he gave her a thick stack of dietary requirements the next day. But even when she followed his instructions precisely, he continued to be nitpicky. If the steak wasn't rare enough, he wouldn't eat it. If it was too rare, he'd throw it out. Sometimes he wouldn't even let her finish delivering the food. Desperate to keep her job, she could only vent her frustration in the cafeteria. One day, she couldn't take it anymore and stormed into his office. Seeing his back, she froze. When he turned around, she was completely shocked. It was him. The man who had been tormenting her as her boss was the same one from that fateful night. This scheming boss was full of tricks. To keep his little sweetheart around, he had 3 extravagant meals a day, even eating so much he landed in the hospital. Just yesterday, he had seen another man flirt with her, his jealousy boiling over. The next day before clock-out, to win her back, he pretended to be indifferent when she delivered his meal. But the moment she left, he dropped the act and devoured the food like a hungry wolf. Meanwhile, the woman received an invitation from her childhood friend and planned to take her younger brother to the Han River. But just then, she got a message from the scheming boss. With no other choice, she packed a bento and brought it to him. As always, the scheming boss remained cold and distant. The woman was frustrated by his indifference and found herself strangely irritated. This time, the scheming boss gulped down a whole bottle of digestive drink before continuing to devour the food she brought, completely ruining her plans for the river. Her childhood friend called, saying he would come pick her up, but the scheming boss overheard the entire call. Flustered, the woman didn't know what to do, and the scheming boss wasn't about to just let things go. What happened next caught her off guard. The scheming boss indulged in 3 full meals overnight, leaving the woman wide-eyed in disbelief. But since he was her superior, she had no choice but to take care of him. While she prepared instant noodles, the scheming boss pulled out a letter from her childhood friend, using it as an excuse to keep her from leaving. To avoid confrontation, she reluctantly continued cooking. After they finished eating, the scheming boss told her he needed to confirm something. Then, without warning, he leaned in close. The sudden proximity made the woman's heart pound. As she tried to excuse herself under the pretense of getting water, the scheming boss grabbed her wrist and pulled her back. He moved his chair next to hers and whispered in her ear. Flustered by his intensity, the woman fled the scene, but couldn't stop thinking about it. The next day in the elevator, the scheming boss overheard another call between the woman and her childhood friend. Fueled by jealousy, he had his assistant assign her the task of preparing boxed lunches for the entire staff. Unfortunately, a clingy live streamer who had been pursuing the boss found out. When the woman brought the lunch, she was shocked to see the streamer being served a luxurious meal instead. No one even looked at the lunch she had carefully made. Hurt and embarrassed, the woman quietly left, but the scheming boss wasn't about to waste her effort. He ate all 10 portions himself. Back in the kitchen, the woman got a call from his assistant. He had eaten so much he landed in the hospital. She rushed over and asked why he did such a ridiculous thing. He looked at her seriously and said, "You once told me not to waste precious food." Even lying in a hospital bed, the scheming boss was still jealous. He asked, "Why didn't you go out with your boyfriend today?" The woman finally admitted that the man was just a close friend. The scheming boss was quietly delighted. After being discharged, he wasn't done scheming. He pretended to still be weak and pitiful, trying to get her sympathy. When the woman showed concern, he suddenly appeared behind her and whispered, "You have to take responsibility." He accused her of failing in her duties as his personal nutritionist, leaving her completely thrown off. But under his relentless tactics, his goal was finally achieved. To get the woman to confess her feelings, the scheming boss dramatically lifted her up in his arms like a romantic movie scene. Her heart skipped a beat, but she still shyly ran away. However, as she turned to look back, she saw the scheming boss floating motionless in the pool. At first, she thought it was just another one of his tricks, until she remembered he once mentioned that he could suddenly cramp up while swimming. Worried, the woman jumped in, calling for help as she pulled him to the pool's edge. 2 employees rushed over to assist, but what she didn't know was, this was part of his plan all along. The employees, clearly in on the act, made excuses and quickly left. The woman, unaware, was in tears, genuinely panicked. When she saw the staff leaving, she tried to stop them. Meanwhile, the scheming boss was secretly suppressing a grin. The employees claimed things were getting complicated and that they needed professional help. Looking at the seemingly unconscious scheming boss, the woman finally let her emotions out. She confessed that she never regretted what happened 3 years ago. That single sentence jolted the scheming boss upright. The woman was equal parts furious and flustered. Sitting by the edge of the pool together, the scheming boss finally revealed his true feelings, along with the real reason he never let go of her all these years. Seeing the scheming boss being so genuine, the woman took the initiative and kissed him. Though inexperienced, the scheming boss blushed and nervously pulled back. But as the woman leaned in again, he suddenly turned around and kissed her back with confident passion. The two shared an intense, passionate moment in the pool that lasted more than 10 minutes. Neither of them had openly confessed their feelings, but the scheming boss didn't want to be apart for even a second. He started coming to the woman's door constantly, either inviting her in for a drink or suggesting they share instant noodles. But each time she refused. Still unwilling to give up, he lingered at her door, persistently trying. Inside, the woman was hiding behind the door, nervously giggling to herself. The next day, the scheming boss invited the woman to dinner. She replied that she had to celebrate her dog's birthday that night, but after work, the scheming boss saw her childhood friend coming to pick her up. Furious and jealous, he grabbed a bag of dog food and barged over to her house, only to find a small boy. Not wanting the scheming boss to know about her complicated family situation, the woman quickly brought her 3-year-old brother and mother upstairs. When the childhood friend and the scheming boss met, the air was thick with tension. Words were exchanged, egos flared, and they even started competing over drinks. The scheming boss ended up collapsing into the woman's arms. The next morning, the woman's mother asked the scheming boss to look after the child for a while, suggesting it might leave a good impression. The cold and calculated CEO transformed into a super nanny. All the moms nearby couldn't take their eyes off him, and even the way he pushed the stroller was shockingly charming. Soon, a crowd of children gathered around him. Meanwhile, the scheming boss's father, having caught wind of his son's relationship, came looking for the woman to dig into her background. But instead, he stumbled upon the scheming boss playing dad with a kid. Suspicious and shocked, the father wondered, was this his grandchild? Watching the scheming boss sleeping next to the child, the woman was overcome with emotion. They had such a deep connection, but she could only walk away in tears. The gap in their social status meant the scheming boss's father wouldn't approve of her. In the car, the scheming boss also cried. He understood the burden the woman carried. Even after 3 long years, she had returned. And even if it took 30 more, the scheming boss would wait for her. However, upon returning home, the woman fell seriously ill. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and was consumed by longing. The scheming boss, too, relied on their shared memories to get through his days. He visited his estranged mother, who had learned about everything from television. She encouraged him to follow his heart and pursue love. She wanted her son to be happy with the one he truly loved. But the woman's health didn't improve. Her physical illness was compounded by deep emotional wounds. Her mother was heartbroken watching her daughter suffer in silence. The next day, during a TV interview, her mother bravely spoke out on her behalf, saying that love can start at any time and in any place. She encouraged her daughter not to worry about judgment and to go for what she truly wanted. Inspired, the woman finally made up her mind. She rushed out to find the scheming boss and arranged to meet him at his company. But she ran into a massive traffic jam. Without hesitation, she ditched her car and prepared to take the bus. At that moment, she got a call from her father, ordering her to return and inherit the family fortune. But by then, the scheming boss had already made up his mind. He chose to give up his identity as heir. The only thing he wasn't willing to give up was the woman. He gave up his car too, refusing to use anything tied to his father's wealth. His father was furious. But the scheming boss hopped on the bus and headed straight to the woman. A man brave enough to chase love is also worthy of it. The best kind of love often comes from humble places. That's what makes it sincere and valuable. The two of them, full of conviction, marched toward the same future together. After all the ups and downs, they finally saw the light of spring bloom in their lives. They no longer cared about the judgment of others and held each other tightly in a loving embrace. When you acknowledge love, rumors may follow. But once you boldly admit it, those whispers seem to quiet. Their long embrace became a spectacle to others. The woman no longer avoided the truth. She confidently acknowledged her relationship with the scheming boss. And the scheming boss, he no longer feared his father. After all, he had already poached the best people from his father's company and started his own. His clever tactics weren't just for romance. They worked in business too. Under his persistence and persuasion, his father finally began to accept the woman. In the end, what mattered more than anything was his son's happiness. The scheming boss and the woman drove down the same road where they had first crossed paths 3 years ago. After everything they had gone through, the twists, the misunderstandings, the pain, they finally understood what love really meant. Sometimes, it's only after the storm that we learn how precious true love really is. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and drop a heart to help our channel out.